mean, a little bit of everything in there, and big loud signals. I get done eating dinner, I come out here, and actually wasn't hearing anything at all. Kind of surprised that it folded up so quickly, but that's how it goes. You never know. Again, thank you very, very much for coming back to the call there. Like I say, I was on earlier today, and the band was fairly well open. I did make quite a few contacts this morning, and so I guess I can't complain. I mean, I hit quite a few different states. It was all stateside, nothing GX, but it gave me something to do, kept me out of trouble and off the street, Scott. N5XTC, NK7L.
Roger, November Kilo 7 Lima. Yeah, you're coming in very strong here in the South Texas. I was looking up your QRZ page there. Looks like you're just outside of Portland there. You've been getting a lot of rain this time of year. I understand a buddy of mine lived there, and he just said, you know, moving from the desert, he had a tough time dealing with all the rain. Over.
Wow, that's really strange, because I'll tell you, and when I first moved out here in the 50s, and when I was a kid, it rained like a son of a gun, but of course, what it did then and what it's been doing the last 12 to 15 years is completely different. I mean, we've still been getting the same amount of rain, but in much, much shorter time. In fact, the rain just started today. We had a good rain in July, which that's the first time in a long, long time. Like I say, I fished the river here since 1962. And like I say, we used to always get a lot of rain in July, especially the first week. I take the first week off the fish for summer steelhead. And then we used to get quite a bit of rain in September, which this is the first year that I remember, and like I say, the last 10 or 12 that we had a rain. And that's just, well, we had one the other day, but geez, I mean, it wasn't even enough to really wet the stuff. I mean, it didn't even beat up on the roof, on the flat roof that I had out there to run off. It was just like water drops. But we're supposed to be getting about an inch, supposed to be starting today and tomorrow, which is good, because I've been going down on the river every morning and in the afternoon too to chase the salmon around. And it hasn't been that great. We've had a couple good days. In fact, on my birthday was the best day that I've ever seen on that river. Those fish flew from the first thing in the morning till late at night, and like I say, it was amazing. I had a field day, and I did get my limit of 2 adult Chinooks, so I was as happy as a pig in swamp, Scott. N5XTC, NK7L.
Roger there, Tom. I'm looking at your QRZ page of that. I guess it's a steelhead you're trying to hold up there. That fish is almost as big as you are. Wow, that thing's amazing. Couple of questions. How much did that thing weigh? What'd you catch it on? And how many people could that thing feed? Over.
Okay, first question. We waited about 4.5 hours after we put it in the boat, and of course, you know, all fishermen are going to tell you it was on a light scale, but honestly, it was a light scale. My friend was too heavy to do it on a bathroom scale and hold the fish. I probably would have been too. Actually, the reason I couldn't get it off the ground, it just so happened, I caught that in August, and it just so happened that June, I had been in the hospital and had a heart attack and had a quadruple bypass, and I had to beg the surgeon to let me go fishing because they told me I couldn't fish for 90 days. And then he said, well, you can go, but you can't lift anything over 50 pounds. Well, the fish, like you said, when we weighed it, come out to 40 pounds. On the scale. So I know that when I first put it in the boat, because they're going to lose like 20%, you know, very, very quickly, probably first couple hours. And I know when I put it in the boat, it had to be pretty doggone close to 45 pounds, give or take a pound or two either way. And like I say, we flayed that out. And of course, I do not like salmon that much, to be honest with you. And my buddy, we flayed it, and then we cut it in, cut the sides in strips that were about 2 inches wide, and of course they were really, really thick. And one of those would feed me and the wife a meal, plus we'd usually have some left over. That lasted me almost 1 year, there was quite a bit of fish there, but like I say, I do not enjoy salmon that much. The only way I really, really like it is smoked. Scott, back to you.
Roger, so that's just a regular salmon. I don't know that much about salmon. I do a lot of saltwater fishing out here. We don't get salmon. We get you know, reds and those kind of things, and a lot of whiting and smaller fish, and what's the other one? The big, the bull red, the big bull reds. We hook them on big treble hooks. You take a crab and you put it on the treble hook with a rubber band, and then you throw it out there and let it set on the bottom, and you pull in some really big bull reds that way. Yeah, that'd be good fish to eat, though. I love salmon, and salmon's expensive. I could imagine that fish would cost quite a bit if you bought it in the fishery, over.
Yeah, well, like I say, I was checking some out. We went shopping Monday, went to the grocery store, and it seemed to me at that time it was like 5 something a pound or 6 something a pound. Wow. But that was silver, not Chinook. That's the Chinook there. And they do vary in prices. But they said it was $2.98 if you buy the whole fish, but you're talking quite a bit of weight and head and cut and fins. So, you know, I don't know which is the best way to go. I mean, I'd rather pay a little bit extra and have the fillet, to be honest with you. Just like I say, even when I smoke them, you know, I fillet them out and then cut them into smaller pieces to smoke there. And, you know, once in a while I used to barbecue some if we'd have people over, do that with hamburgers and other stuff. Because a lot of people do like salmon, you know, it's just that I never acquired a taste for it. And I threw everything on it: mayonnaise, mustard, butter, garlic, Tabasco, onions, everything. And I used to like the sauce that it made. Scott, back to you.
Yeah, Roger, I'd like to catch a fish like that. That'd be an experience. I went up to Alaska, didn't do any fishing, but I ate some fish in the restaurants there, and I could live on that salmon, let me tell you. And it's pretty good for you. Hey, looking at your antennas there, that tower, I think you said there is 67 feet. Are you running any power right now? Are you barefoot? And are you on the Pro 3?
Yeah, I'm running the Pro 3. I'm running about, actually maybe peaking at 300 watts. I'd probably say more average is 250. That's what the amplifier is showing. Running the PW1 amplifier. But like you say, I've got an excellent location here. I really look out. Like you say, I'm on a hillside. But the mountain goes up behind my house, and I get extra reflection off the back of the mountain. Now, right there, that's, like I say, with the amplifier, and I'll say 300 watts. Hang on. Okay, if this is without the amplifier, this is probably less than 20 watts.
Oh, huge difference there. You almost drop out when you turn the amp off. Of course, you're only running, you said, 20 watts into the amp. So, yeah, you almost drop out, but I could barely copy you without the amp there, over. Well, what's my signal report there into Washington, over?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you know, I mean, right now, looking at my meter, you were just barely moving my needle. And like I say, your Q5, I hear every word. I can't hear any fade or anything like that. So I've got a very quiet QTH too.
Yeah, roger that. I just ordered some double bazookas. I'm only on a G5 RV, and I ordered a couple double bazookas. They should be here tomorrow, a 10 meter, a 20, and a 40. And I understand they're a lot quieter than the G5 RV, but the 10 meter band has been pretty quiet for me lately, over.
Yeah, well, you know, like you say, it's great to see it open. Like I say, I had a field day down the last couple days on 10 and 12. Kind of hoping 6 it open, but I think I'm just kind of wishing. Of course, like I say, the best opening I've seen on 6 since I've been able to operate was back in 2001, and that was in December, and that's the best opening I've ever seen on 6 meters. It was long, and well, like I say, I worked into, of course, Alaska's no big deal, but I worked into Hawaii, I worked into Japan, I worked down into the Caribbean, I worked through stateside stuff, Mexico. So, I mean, it was really great. And since then, that wasn't last year, it was year before last, there was an opening into Europe. And one of the guys that's in the same grid where I am, of course, he's running a stacked array. He worked like 120 Europeans. I think he ended up getting 20 new countries. And then another guy in the same grid square, the one with the staff is across the river in Oregon. I think the other gentleman, I wasn't sure if he was in Oregon or if he was in Washington, same side of the river as me. He was running 5 elements at 35 foot, and I think he worked a handful. And like I say, I could hear him in there, but not good enough that even if if I made a contact when they come back, it would be my lucky QSB would be right there when they come back, and I would not get my signal report. But that's the first time that I ever heard Europe, and I'll tell you, I was very, very impressed, because you don't see that very much out here in the Pacific Northwest, the big dark holes.
Yeah, roger that. I would imagine you get more of a beam right there into Asia than you do Europe, over.
Well, not even that much on 6. I mean, basically, on the other hand, no problem whatsoever. I mean, I can beam it all. Some of the places are a little bit harder than other places, but as a whole, as the year changes around, the other places get easier to get into. Things change around. I remember back in the 80s and 90s, you could follow it like going counterclockwise. You could just see it, see it moving where the DX was going, every time, at a certain time, what was going to be open and where. It hasn't been so much like that anymore, but I don't know, maybe we'll have a good season now that we're coming into winter. Like you say, definitely spring was not that great, and summer definitely wasn't that great. It was terrible. Few openings, but I didn't hear that much DX at all. I heard quite a bit in the spring of the year, but when it came into summer, it just kind of died out here.
Roger, yeah, 10 has been dead for me for a long time. I was gone all summer up in Yellowstone, and I took my ICOM 7000 up there, and I ran the G5 RV into the trees in the various national forest campgrounds, did quite a bit of contacts, but very little on 10 meters. 10 meters just started to open up for me down here the last couple of days, and I'm really happy it's open. It's probably my favorite band to just listen and make contacts on, over.
Well, it's like you say, when it's open, you can't beat it. That's the same way with 6, too, but God, I can't stand to sit there and listen to white noise. I can't handle that. But that's the great thing about 10. Like I say, you don't have to have the gigantic antennas. You don't have to have the power when the band's open, It works super, super good, and that's what's so cool about it. That's like I say, back in the 80s when I was first licensed, I did all kinds of 10-meter stuff. So especially, as a novice, starting out there, and of course everything was Charlie Whiskey. But yeah, I had a great time. And again, I used it after that. Don't get me wrong, but I've always been a DX chaser. That was my big deal. The main reason that so I basically work all the bands everywhere from 6 to 160. And I don't really have an antenna for 160, and I don't know why. I have no excuse. I have 5 acres with trees.
Boy, you just dropped out there. I don't know if you're still copying me. You just the band's kind of stretching there. Over, this is November 5, X-Ray Tango Charlie.
Okay, fine business. Yeah, Scott, you dropped completely almost out. I could still copy you.
It's a green line.
I've got a very, very quiet QCH. 73, thank you very, very much for the contact. Please listen for me again. I want to see you right here, 28409, like the big shibby engine. If you listen on 15, I'm usually at 21300. 73, thank you for the very, very nice QSO, and hope we can hook up again soon. November 5, X-Ray, Tango, Charlie, Nancy, Kentucky, 7 London.
Thank you, Tom. Great QSO. Nice talking with you. I made a video of the QSO. I see your email on QRZ. I'll email you the link here in a few minutes, and you can listen to how you sound here in the border of Mexico. I'm sure I'll catch you again. November Kilo 7 Lima. This is November 5 X-Ray Tango Charlie. 73, sir. 73. Once again, another video evidence.
145 Nancy, Kentucky, 7 London.
One more video evidence that you can rag chew on HF. I do it all the time. We got to get this uploaded. We're clear.